How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be part 4 in our FPS tutorial series. So what we're going to be doing today is actually taking our arms from Blender and taking them into Unity and just setting up the animations so we can see what they look like inside Unity, and I can show you guys how to go to that next step. So we actually did 4 basic animations in the last tutorial. We've got idle, some type of punching animation there, unequip and an equip. And as I said, these animations are just very rough and simple. I will probably update them as we go along the tutorial series and just polish them a little bit more depending on what they look like in Unity. I mean, that's why we do this step now. You want to take them into Unity and see what they look like in your game, and then you can always go back and adjust the animations accordingly, okay? So what I've actually done is in Unity, I've just made a new project. I'm just assuming that by now, people that watch my channel know how to download Unity and they know how to use the asset store, okay? So I'm not going to waste your time showing you how to do that all over again. So basically, I've just started a new project in Unity. All I've done is download the Crypt Dungeon environment from the asset store, and I've downloaded the Milky Way skybox. And this is simply just to give us a little bit of environment where we can start setting up our character, because in this tutorial series we will be setting up our character from scratch, and hopefully by the end of it we should have a pretty cool character that you won't see in many other tutorials on YouTube, I wouldn't imagine. So let's go ahead and, first of all, if you download the crypt, all you have to do is obviously open up the folders, go to scenes and double click on crypt, and then you'll have the same as me. You'll have the crypt scene, and if you would like to add a skybox and you don't know how, just go up to Window and go to Rendering and then Lighting, and then you'll get this Lighting tab, and all you need to do is open up the folder, get the actual Milky Way material and drag and drop it in the skybox material, okay? So this is just your preference. You don't need to have anything like this. You can make your terrain if you want. You can use whatever you want, build your own environment for all I care. This is just so that I can quickly start working on the first person character. Alright, so once you've got your scene set up how you want, go ahead and go into Blender, and we'll need to export these arms out of Blender. So go to File, go to Export as FBX, and I'm going to do mine on the desktop. FPS tutorial arms unarmed. You can actually export these straight into your Unity assets folder of that project you just made if you would like, but I'm just going to export mine to the desktop. And now you will see on the right here you have all these options, and this is quite important. Okay, so if you know how to use Blender better than I do, you can export it how you would like, but I do recommend that you export it the same as I do, okay? Because if you have any issues, I don't want people telling me that it's not working properly and they've gone ahead and just checked all these boxes and whatnot in here, okay? So please, just for the sake of this tutorial, just do it the same as me. I mean, I'm no expert, but this works for me, okay? So under include, I've just selected the armature and the mesh, okay? So we're only exporting the armature and the mesh, so the actual skin, you could say, and the bones. And then under transform, I've got apply scalings, I've got FBX unit scale, the Z-axis is forward, the Y-axis is up. I've got apply unit. Under geometry, I've got smoothing on normals only and nothing else is selected, okay? Under armature, I've got the primary bone axis is Y, secondary bone is X, armature, null, only deform bones selected, okay? I don't have add leaf bones selected, just deform bones. And then for the bake animation, everything is ticked. Okay, so once you've got that done, select where you want to export it. Make sure if you're not exporting it straight into your Unity project, that you are exporting it somewhere where you can find it easily, okay? As always. So then export, and if I go back into Unity, I can just right click now and go to import new asset, and then you'll see I've already got mine set up so that I just go to my desktop, FPS tutorial arms, unarmed, and then the arms. So this is what it looks like in Unity. Excuse me, I'm just gonna have a drink. Okay, so these are what the arms look like in Unity, and you'll just have these same things as me, hopefully. You've got your actual mesh there, sorry, your mesh there. You've got a material, but it's not the correct material. You've got some animation files here, which I'll show you in a minute. So once you import a model into Unity, you will have to actually I've got to unlock my inspector, that's why it's not working. Once you have a model in Unity, you will get options for importing the actual model. You'll see you have model, you have rig, animation, and materials. We'll start off at model on the first, and I'm just going to do 0.1 instead of 1. And then just make sure that yours are the same as mine. You don't have to do this exactly as mine, but just for the sake of the tutorial, you may as well. I'm not going to optimize my mesh. I don't really care. These arms aren't crazy. I'm going to do generate colliders. So obviously that's just the collider, like you would put a collider on any game object to stop it from actually, going through walls and things like that. Being able to interact with the environment. So the rest of the stuff I'm just going to leave, okay? I'm going to press apply. And then for rig, I'm going to leave it on generic standard 4-bone. And then animations. So as I showed you guys in Blender, when we did the animations, I put all of these animations under the unarmed heading, okay? So now all the animations we did are under the make human male rig unarmed. So we've got 129 frames there. And then this one is just our pose library. So I'm just going to select that and press minus. And now we're just left with this one here. So all of our animations are stored on this one animation here. So we can go ahead and just quickly break this up. And this is just how I like to do it. It's my preference. You don't have to do it this way. You could put each animation under a different heading if you would like, but I like to do it this way. So I would put all my unarmed animations under the same heading, all of my pistol animations under the same heading, and so on. So anyway, we can break the animations up very easily. If you go back to Blender, you can see that our animation starts on frame 1 for our idle, and then it finishes on frame 90. So if we go to Unity, we can actually change this to idle unarmed, and then we will make this from frame 1 to frame 90. We will loop time and loop the pose and then press apply. So if I just make this a bit bigger, you actually see that here's our arms here, and that's our idle animation. You can see there it looks a bit jerky, like when it loops, it's not quite right. It doesn't loop smoothly, so just going to pause that. And what you can do, you can actually just mess around with the frames. So I'm just going to slash 1 frame, so it's actually 89 frames instead of 90. And then I'm just going to have a look at how it looks now. And that's a bit smoother. It's not perfect, but that's fine. Okay, so we've got that. And then we can just go up here. See, we've got our idle unarmed now. If we click on the plus button, we can change the name of this one to punch unarmed. And if we go back to Blender, we know that starts at 91 and it finishes at 111. So we can simply start it at 91 and finish it at 111. We don't want to loop this one, just go apply. And there you go. There's our punch animation. Does need some work, but hey. Okay, so we've got our punch. Now we need to make our, I think it was unequip first. Unequip, unarmed. And that one was from 112 to 120. 112, 120. Don't want to loop that. That simply just brings our arms down. And then finally, we want to add another one, and this is our equip, unarmed. So this one would start at 121, I presume. And then we can just leave it to finish at the last frame, which is 129. So just go apply, and this one should bring the arms back up. There we go. Looks a bit sus, but okay. Just move that back over. Alright, so as you'll see in my scene, I just have the crypt environment as I said. I don't have a camera or anything like that, so just keep that in mind when we go ahead and start setting up the very basics of our character. This is just going to be to test out our animations, okay? So I'll right click in the hierarchy, go to 3D object and go capsule, and then better. I'll just drag that back there a little bit. Looks like he's facing the wrong way. So I'll just go to Y on the rotation up here in transform and go 180. Hang on, Control Z, Control Z. Let's move him up there. That's fine for now. I'll just go player, and then I'll right click on the player and go to camera, and we'll rename this to main camera, and we will actually go to tag up here and tag it as main camera as well. And then we can just move the camera up to be his head. So now what I'm going to do is actually rotate that capsule. You'll see your camera actually turns around and faces the other way. Okay, so there's our character. He's facing forward like so. And there's our view through the camera. Okay, so we've got a basic little character set up here that will allow us to actually start messing with our arms. So if we get the arms, we can actually grab the arms now and drag and drop them onto the main camera. Make that onto the main camera like so. You'll see they've appeared in our scene there. I'm just going to bring the game view down to the bottom like I always do. And this will allow me to see what the arms look like. So let's bring them down. You can see they're getting clipped by the camera there. We can actually go to our main camera, go to clipping planes, and we'll just change that to 0.1 for now. The camera's actually seeing the capsule. We can make the capsule thinner, or just for now just move the camera forward. Okay, that's fine. Go back to the arms, move them up a little bit, back a little bit. Actually, I'll make sure that they're in the center of the camera, like so. So 0 on the x-axis. Without stuffing around them too much, I might just leave them like that for now. We can always adjust them if the animations don't look right, or we see too much clipping when we're doing different animations. So I'll just put the game view back up here now. Bring that back down. So in our game, this is what it looks like obviously now. So if we play the game, there's our arms. They don't look quite right though, just yet. That's because the material's not correct. They do seem quite... Just going to move them down a little bit. They seem quite large. I mean, you could have them big if you want. That's a bit better for me. They don't look quite as big like that. You can always resize them if you would like. Just be careful that you don't distort them or anything like that. But yeah, generally you can just resize them. You can go back to your model here and you can actually make it smaller in there if you'd like as well. But generally, depending on where you move them, they will look bigger or smaller as well, okay? So now we need to actually import the texture that I was telling you about. So if we go to import new asset and then you just find wherever you saved your original make human. So for me, it was in documents and my make human, it's under V1 and it is exports, textures, and just grab the skin texture there. So now you have the skin texture, you can just create a new material. We'll call this arms underscore mat. And here's our new material. So what we can do is we can actually click on this skin texture and then Control D to duplicate it. And I'll call this one skin underscore norm. We'll actually turn this one into a normal map. And if you left click on it on the normal map one, we can go to default, make it a normal map, and then we can go create from grayscale. Filtering, we can go smooth. And that should be fine. Just go apply. And now you'll see that it's made it into a normal map. So you actually want to bring this bumpiness right down. Actually, I'll leave it up so you can see what it looks like. Okay. It's going to be way too bumpy, but that's fine. So what we'll do now is go to material, drag the normal map on the normal map, drag the texture on the albedo. And now if we open up our arms and go to the bottom one that's got the material on it, if we just drag and drop this on there, you'll see that there's our hands. And you can see that normal map is working. The hands, if you want to have like a 90-year-old first person shooter hero, then that will be fine. But now they're on there, we can always go up here and you'd want this pretty low just to give it a slightest bit of detail in the hands, okay? That looks fine. So if we play the game now, yeah, there's our hands. Can probably even tone that down to like half of that. 0.003 I'm going for. Okay. And now let's just set some type of script up to test out these animations, and we actually need to make ourselves an Animator Controller. So what we'll do first, I'll put that back in scene view, and on our actual arms here, I'm going to add a component and select Animator, and I'm going to right click in our assets and go create Animator Controller. I'll call this unarmed. And then if we open that up, you'll see that we get our little controller here. And what we can do is open up the arms down here and we can put in our idle like so. And then we can do an equip there, unequip there, and a punch there. I'll just make this a bit neater, even though it's just testing for now, but we will do a parameter. So you got layers, parameters, do a parameter and say trigger. And this one can be punch with a capital P. Do another trigger. This one can be equip. Another one can be unequip. And that should be fine. So from any state, we'll do make transition to punch, make a transition to idle. From any state to punch, we can just say that we want that to be punch. For some reason that just didn't want to work, but it got there. So this one is going to be equip, and then from equip we'll go back to idle. It's got exit time. We'll just leave it like that for now. We're not going to muck around for too much just yet. Okay, and then from any state to unequip, we want this one to be unequip. That one's equip, that one's unequip, that one's punch. And they all go back to idle. So idle will be the animation that's playing at the start, okay? So now we can click on our arms and we can drag our controller onto the arms and we can just make a quick little script. We're nearly finished this one, guys, so we'll just say test player test. Open this up. Get rid of all this. We can just say, just for simplicity, we'll just say public animator anim, and then we can do our void update, and we can say if input dot get button down, quotation marks, fire 1, make sure you spell it exactly like I did, fire 1, capital F. Then we'll say anim dot set trigger, and this is very important as well. In your animator, wait for Unity to do its new thing. You have to have these spelled exactly the same as me, okay? Otherwise this won't work. So punch, equip, unequip. Spelt like that. So punch with a capital P, and then we'll just close that off with our parentheses, and then we can simply just copy this, Control V. So this time we'll say if input dot get key down, and then we'll say key code dot we'll do U for unequip, and then we'll just write unequip. I need another one of those. copy that. This one can be E, and this one can be equipped with a capital E. I think that's right. So we press left mouse button, we punch, we press U, we unequip our hands, we press E, then we equip our hands. So I'm just going to save that, go back into Unity. On our player, I'm going to drag this script on. Our animator is our first person arms here, so drag that on because that has the actual animator component on it. So we drag that into our empty slot there. And now we should be ready to go. Let's have a look. Okay, so we're playing the game. We have our idle animation. We press left mouse button and we do a punch. Okay. These hands need to be up higher. But anyway, that's the punch. It's very slow. We can change that in a minute. U for unequip. And obviously, because we had it going back to idle, it works, but it goes back to idle. So we unequip. What we might do is we'll quickly change this now. So go to Animator. Make sure unequip doesn't go back to idle. Oops. Scrap that. Make sure unequip doesn't go back to idle. And for our punch, we'll probably speed it up to like 1.5. So you can change the speed of animations here. And also, what did I say? The arms need to be up a bit higher. Just move them up. And then move them back. It's too much. Sorry, I should be doing this properly, but... Okay, that'll do for now. You can always adjust yours how you want. This is just for demonstration. So there's our arms. They're getting some weird lighting things happening. Let's just have a look for a second. I don't know why they're actually doing that. Move this. Oh, it's metallic. Go to alpha, and then we can go. Got your smoothness there. You can adjust your smoothness how you want it. And we've got the normal map in the wrong map, of course. Change that. Make sure your normal map goes in this one as well. Okay. So you can have your hands like really shiny looking if you want, if you like that. Leave mine like that. Go back in. That's irritating me. Go to the part that's got the material on it. Go to cast shadows off. And that should be better. Let's have a look now. Yeah, that's heaps better. There we go. So obviously these arms look huge here, but we're not going to worry about it just yet. So we've got our idle animation, then we can punch. You can see there that you can see our arm, the broken off point. So if you get clipping like that, you can just go to your main camera and you can change that to 0.5 or even 0.1, 0.01. And now you won't see that, okay? So you punch. If you want to unequip, there's his arms down. Press E to equip, and they come back up. Okay. Unequip, equip. Punch, idle. All right. So I think that'll do it for today. Obviously, you're going to need to play around with it, get your arms in the right position that you would like, get the size right, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, just get it looking good. But I better cut this video off here because it's been going for a while. Alright guys, I hope you liked the video and I will catch up with you all soon. Cheers.